Now at 5, a state report looks at housing concerns in southeast Kansas. The Neosho, Missouri hospital makes improvements to handle infectious disease patients, and we look back at some of the biggest business stories of 2021.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Kansas Housing releases its statewide housing needs assessment. This is KOAM News at 5. Some of the key factors impacting housing in southeast Kansas are housing values, low wages, housing demand, and lack of modern rental opportunities. Pittsburgh City Manager Darren Hall says he's aware of the challenges facing the region and his community. Hall says he knows there are issues the city faces for growth, including the ability to retain workers who commute.
The real issue is to have a place for them to live. So they can buy groceries here. Most people that commute don't buy groceries in Pittsburgh and then drive back to Missouri. They'll buy their groceries there. So it helps everybody if we have good housing stock here and plenty of it.
Tonight at 6, we're going to have more on the report and what other key issues Hall sees facing the city. Freeman Health System today unveiled new renovations to its hospital in Neosho, Missouri. Updates to the emergency department include several negative pressure isolation rooms, a negative pressure triage room, a new nurses station, and a new HVAC system. Officials say the updates will allow the hospital to treat more infectious disease patients.
It's not just for COVID, it's for any infectious disease, so tuberculosis, the flu, COVID-19. Negative pressure rooms assist us in making sure that our air remains clean and our patients and staff remain safe.
The renovations cost $1.5 million. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt says he probably will not get a COVID-19 booster shot, even though health experts are encouraging everyone who's vaccinated to do so. Stitt says he's perfectly healthy and that his doctor has not told him he needs it. Stitt's stance on getting a booster comes even though the state's public health agency and medical community are encouraging Oklahomans to get vaccinated for COVID-19 or to get a booster if they've already been vaccinated. Last year, Stitt was the nation's first governor to confirm he contracted COVID-19. He got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine in March. Doug Heddy joins us now with a first look at the weather.
Well, it turned out to be a pretty good afternoon after we got showers, even a few thunderstorms that rolled through late last night and then into the morning hours for us today. You can see the bands rolling through early this morning. We had the clouds sticking around and sunshine peeks out for us as we have gone through the afternoon hours. So this system's out of here. Already another fast-moving wave is developing back across the southwestern parts of the U.S., which will start to affect us as we head into the daytime hours tomorrow. Temperature is pretty good. Most of us are sitting into lower 60s right now. We have winds kind of all over the place, but southerly winds have been kind of picking up. They're going to switch back toward the north as we go through the evening and the overnight hours tonight. We're going to drop back through the 50s, 40s, upper 30s later on tonight. A lot to talk about for this week, all coming up here in just a little bit.
See you then. U.S. and Russian officials will take part in security talks early next year as tensions remain high between Ukraine and Russia. While the diplomats talk, Ukrainian civilians say they don't want to wait by if Moscow decides to invade. Ian Lee reports.
There's something different about these war games outside of Ukraine's capital. Running through the forest aren't soldiers, but doctors, students, and businessmen. I believe every young person in this country should know what to do when the enemy invades, says this student. This may seem like something out of a Hollywood movie, but the threat is real. Ukraine is staring down the barrel of a possible Russian invasion. Western intelligence agencies think it could happen as early as next year, although Moscow denies this. So Ukrainian soldiers are training civilians to shoot a gun and even make improvised explosive devices. These people arrive, receive weapons, and carry out command assignments to defend their homes, says this battalion commander. While Ukraine's military trains with new American weapons like the Javelin anti-tank missile, it knows it can't stand up to the might of the Russian military. Just across the border, tens of thousands of Russian troops prepare for their next orders. So Ukraine's defense plan includes building a local resistance, drawing lessons from America's wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. I believe we have a chance to win even if our enemy is stronger and has better weapons, as long as every single person defends our homeland, says this doctor. If the fog of war comes, these Ukrainian citizens plan to be ready. Ian Lee, CBS News.
President Biden signed a spending bill that will provide $300 million to support Ukraine's armed forces. Experts in Virginia's capital have pulled books, money, ammunition, documents, and other artifacts from a time capsule found in the remnants of a pedestal that once held a statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee. The opening of the aged copper box today appeared to mark the end of a long search for the elusive 1887 time capsule. Still ahead, a look back at some of the top business stories of 2021.
Open for business, the second year of the pandemic brought economic comebacks and stock market swings. I'm Diane King Hall at the New York Stock Exchange with a roundup of the seesaw year in business.
And next in Health Watch, what we're learning about the effect of the Omicron variant on kids. Topping today's Health Watch, Americans are not being hospitalized with the Omicron variant at the same rate as other strains, but it's still dangerous, including for kids. The U.S. now averages 260 pediatric COVID hospitalizations a day. That's up nearly 30% from just last week. Reporter Meg Oliver has the story.
As the Omicron variant continues to sweep across the Northeast, unvaccinated of all ages are at increased risk. In New York State, health officials say pediatric hospitalizations in New York City rose nearly fivefold from the start of December, and almost all of the children were unvaccinated.
We need to get child vaccinations up. We need to get them higher than they are, particularly in the 5 to 11-year-old age group.
In New York State, roughly 27% of 5 to 11-year-olds are vaccinated. Nationwide, that number falls to roughly 23%. New York Presbyterian Chief Pediatrician Dr. Sally Permar.
The vaccine is so much safer than getting the virus itself. And so giving your child the vaccine keeps them safer than letting them get infected with this virus without any immunity from a vaccine.
While hospitals typically see a rise in pediatric admissions this time of year, Dr. Permar says parents should take Omicron seriously.
How serious are their symptoms?
Well, serious enough to be admitted to the hospital, which again is an indication that this is not just a disease of adults.
What do you think should happen in terms of reopening schools now that you're seeing a spike in cases among kids?
Yeah, I think we know so much more about how to keep our children safe. And we also learned how devastating it is to keep children out of school. So I think we should use all the tools we have, implement vaccination for all the school kids, also use testing, also use masks, and our typical hand washing and social distancing to keep kids in school, even with this rise in cases.
New York Governor Kathy Hochul also announced she's urging all superintendents to keep their classrooms open. She says she's prepared to send any additional resources they may need to prevent any disruptions to in-person learning. Meg Oliver, CBS News, Paterson, New Jersey.
New data shows doctors are prescribing fewer opioids in the U.S., but the decline is not uniform when it comes to geographic regions and types of prescribers. Researchers found the largest volume decline was in metropolitan counties and places with the highest rates of fatal opioid overdoses. Emergency room doctors showed the highest percentage decline in writing opioid prescriptions. A new European study finds retransplantation is the best option if a transplanted kidney fails. Researchers in Austria found patients who had a second kidney transplant lived longer than those who used dialysis. Doctors also say quality of life is better for patients who undergo a second transplant. The battle of the sexes may be taking place as a fetus grows in the womb. Researchers in Cambridge say the father's genes drive demand for nutrients, but it's the mother's genes that control how much nourishment is provided to the fetus. Doctors believe this tug of war of sorts could explain why some babies grow poorly in the womb. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, COVID, Twitter, GameStop, and more. A look back at the top business stories of 2021.
Plus, we got plenty of rain chances for this week. Maybe some freezing rain, sleet, and snow in Arctic air. A lot to talk about coming up next. Well, we got some showers, even a few thunderstorms in here late last night into the morning hours, and then we break out and see mostly sunny skies. We can see that big band of rain rolling through during the morning hours, which we kind of needed. A lot of areas picked up half an inch, even upwards to an inch in some spots, but of course all this is gone. But you can see the heavier amounts of rain popping up in the green. That's showing us at least a half an inch upwards to an inch. Everybody else kind of in that quarter to half an inch, but you can see everybody got rain during the morning hours. Once we got the sunshine, temperatures look pretty good. We popped into the 60s, and we're still sitting right around 60, 61 degrees across the region. Winds are kind of out of the west, a little breezy at times. They're going to switch to the northwest for us tonight and then kick right back out of the south as we go into the daytime hours tomorrow. Looks good. Nice shot of the sunset. Clear skies, 61, westerly winds at about 10, humidity is at 39%. Through the evening hours, we drop back through the 50s, 40s, eventually upper 30s. So it is going to be a chilly night for us tonight. But clear skies for us right now. That storm system racing off toward the east, and then right back to the west. We got a very strong jet stream that is kicking in, so we get these fast-moving systems, and that guy already is going to be on top of us by the time we head into the daytime hours tomorrow. Let's go ahead and break it down for you tonight. Northerly winds kick in. We get clouds increasing. After midnight, we drop back anywhere from mid-30s northern counties to near 40 in our southern counties. We get showers popping up by the morning hours. Most of these are going to be along and south of Interstate 44. Showers roll through during the morning hours, so here's about the noon hour. And then as we go into the afternoon, they advance out of here. Temperatures, not bad. I think most of us will go near 60 for a high, but you can see that rain picking up, especially late morning into the early afternoon. So that system gets out of here as we go into the evening hours tomorrow. Still a few random little showers, and then we cool back down tomorrow night. We drop back into the mid-30s. Clouds increase on Thursday. We may get a random sprinkle in the morning hours, and then we start to warm up near 60 by the time we head into Thursday afternoon. Clouds increase again as we go into Thursday night and Friday as we get ready for our next storm system, which is going to roll in. So this is Friday. This is New Year's Eve. Rain starts to increase by the evening hours. Very strong Arctic front slides in Friday night. Showers, thunderstorms pick up. We're going to be into the 40s. Look at the freezing rain, sleet, and snow developing. And then as that front drops south, that colder air is going to work in. It looks like right now most of the wintry weather is going to be along and north of Interstate 44, mainly rain south of I-44, but this could shift a bit over the next few days. Then that colder air filters in and we get a little bit of snow on the backside. This is the storm system we've been talking about since about Thanksgiving that would give us that first good chance for snow. All right, 60 tomorrow, rain late morning, early afternoon. 59 Thursday, 63 on New Year's Eve. And then we drop into the 20s New Year's Day. Look at Saturday night, 9 degrees, and a high of only 29 on Sunday.
Do I have to look?
Yeah, we get that first Arctic blast working in.
Yeah, and that is no blast.
Yeah.
Blast. Thanks, Doug. Coming up, the business year in review. First, though, we recognize a local veteran of the U.S. Army. Corporal Leonard Edwards served with an artillery unit from 1952 to 55. His hometown, Mendon Mines, Missouri, and we are proud to salute Corporal Leonard Edwards, a four-state hero. The year in money tops today's Consumer Watch. While the pandemic kept its grip on the financial world, there were plenty of other business headlines in 2021. The Delta variant slammed the brakes on the return to office. Small investors staged a rebellion over GameStop. Millions of Americans quit their jobs and the tech titans took on a president. Reporter Diane King Hall has a look at the year's biggest business stories.
Social media flexed its muscle in 2021. Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube banned former President Trump after the January 6th attack on the Capitol, saying his words could incite violence.
You cannot use our services to say things which we think deliberately can lead to harm.
Small investors mobilized in a buying frenzy over GameStop shares. The stock of the troubled retailer soared, costing hedge funds who had bet against it billions of dollars. The pandemic bought some extra time for taxpayers. For the second year, the tax filing deadline was postponed to give people more time to navigate unusual circumstances.
I've never seen anything like this, have you?
Drivers felt pain at the pump, from the cyber attack on Colonial Pipeline to damage from Hurricane Ida. The laws of supply and demand made gasoline nearly 50% more expensive than it was a year ago. Bernie Madoff, who pulled off the biggest Ponzi scheme in history, died in prison. He was 82 and serving a 150-year sentence for swindling thousands of investors. Peloton recalled about 125,000 treadmills after they were linked to dozens of injuries and the death of a child. A former employee blew the whistle on Facebook, telling Congress the social media giant knew it was causing harm.
So Facebook knows that they are leading young users to anorexia content.
Weeks later, the tech giant changed his name to Meta as part of a larger rebranding.
We're going to be metaverse first, not Facebook first.
The unemployment rate dropped back to 4.2% as employers scrambled to find workers.
We're trying to hire more baristas. We're trying to hire cooks.
But American workers had different ideas. 4.4 million quit their jobs in September and another 4.2 million in October in a trend known as the Great Resignation.
The pandemic may have influenced it in that I think it changed my mindset.
Pandemic shutdowns led to a global shortage of computer chips used in everything from cars to smartphones. And traffic jams at ports contributed to disruptions in the supply chain, with retailers running low on stock, including Christmas trees.
We do have a shortage this year, and that's a big problem.
Lower stock meant higher prices, and with inflation climbing at the fastest pace in 40 years, President Biden nominated Jerome Powell for a second term as head of the Federal Reserve. More investors joined the crypto craze, with Bitcoin touching record highs, while a similar theme played out on Wall Street, the stock market overcoming a world of worries to continue its bull run. Diane King Hall, CBS News, New York.
Tomorrow night on KOAM News at 10, our year in review turns to the year in politics. 2021 brought in a new Democratic president and Congress, big off-year state election wins, a major attack on the nation's seat of democracy, and the most consequential challenge to abortion rights in decades. We're going to take a look back at the biggest political stories of 2021 tomorrow night at 10 on KOAM News. Apple stores in the New York City area are temporarily closed to in-person shoppers due to rising COVID-19 cases. Apple says it'll still let customers place orders online and pick them up at the stores. Bloomberg reports stores may have also been temporarily closed in D.C., Ohio, Texas, Georgia, and Florida. No word on when they're set to reopen. Final check of that colder forecast next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, we're going to take you on a first-of-its-kind hydrogen-powered ferry, what it could mean in the fight against climate change. Then on KOAM News at 6, Chris Warner takes a closer look at the state report outlining housing challenges in southeast Kansas. Plus, authorities identify 2 people apparently shot to death in the 4 states, and how a southwest Missouri woman was scammed by someone pretending to be celebrity chef Gordon Ramsay. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. This little critter, not your typical kitten. In fact, it's not really a domesticated cat at all. This is a rare albino Jaguar Roondy cub. Jaguar Roondies are a type of puma native to North and South America. This little female is the first albino of its species ever discovered in Colombia. Its albinism would limit its ability to survive in the wild, so wildlife officials rescued her, and eventually they're going to transfer her to Conservation Park. Cute little critter. Jaguar Roondies do not grow quite as large as standard Jaguars. It's kind of the compact coupe version
I guess so.
of a Jaguar. It's going to get cold.
It is. We still have some nice days ahead. We are going to get some more rain in here, especially late morning into the early afternoon for us tomorrow. But in general, not bad. 59 on Thursday, 63 on New Year's Eve. But then rain and snow chances for the turn of 2022.
Here it comes, ready or not. Thanks for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next. And of course, we'll be right back here for KOAM News at 6. Let's make it a great evening.